Guys, this is me. Um, we're back with a tournament replay for RU the Crown Tundra Cup that's going on now. This is my round one. We're playing Sevelon, or I assume that's how you say his name. Like a little bit nervous, but I don't know him, so like I'm not all too threatened, but like I do generally take more into account. I do take into account who I'm playing. Like I see the team here, and this is like half of what this is pretty much what I expected for the most part. The only thing I like in the meta right now, Licks is splendid. Xurkitree is ridiculously good. Horn's also ridiculously good. So then three are like expected per se. Mantine's crafty. Decidueye really caught me off guard, and you can see by my team that I was not expecting to face a Decidueye because I do not have a single grass resist. Literally no Pokemon on my team had a 100% chance to live Leaf Storm. Tyrantrum dies in one. Xurkitree dies in one. Starmie easily dies in one. Beware dies in one. Nidoqueen's a roll in their favor to kill me in one. And Gardevoir's 6.3% chance to kill me. So, if this is Specs Decidueye, it's a problem. If it's random banned, it's actually not that big of a problem because Beware easily takes it on. But if it's Swords Dance, again, Beware kind of takes it on pretty well. But Specs, Shadow Ball Spam is not really that great versus me, just because Beware, obviously. And, like, it doesn't kill crucial things, like Nidoqueen, and Xurkitree probably lives one. But Leaf Storm, he's gonna click that 6 times to kill my entire team. So I just have to limit the Decidueye coming in, really. But if I can manage that, then that's fine. But basically, my team's just an HO build. It's Bandit Tyrantrum, Scarf Xurkitree, Boot Starmie, SD Beware, Specs Gardevoir, and then Life Orb for 3 attacks, Rocks, Nidoqueen. Looking at his team, it's probably just Boots Torn, Scarf Xurkitree, Defog Mantine, Rock Slicks, Bulk Up Scrafty, I'm assuming, not DD, and then Specs Decidueye, which I feel like his team isn't that like unpredictable, but it's still solid. I like his build a lot. I'm not a fan of Mantine really right now, but I think if it has enough speed for Tyrantrum, that's a lot, so I don't know. And like you never run enough speed for Tyrantrum just because again that's a lot. But otherwise I think Tyrantrum just comes in like versus team if I ever click CC one time we're good. Which isn't true because you have to click it twice, predicting Scrafty one time, predicting Steelix. Tyrantrum, if I get the calls right, it's really good. I come in on Mantine, I come in on a Decidueye potentially, it's highly unlikely, but if he's modest then I come in on it because I am adamant. I think on this build I'm adamant. But yeah, I'm like no, I have to be jolly. Otherwise no, there's no way I'm adamant. Which means I guarantee I'll speed Decidueye. I am adamant. I just checked. But, I think it's slightly whack. Because that means timid Decidueye, which they pretty much always run timid, is gonna outspeed me now. But I think adamant's... I think the damage output is very crucial, but the problem is you don't outspeed base 60s then. Which is like Beware and stuff, but I guess that's not that common. Just because, like, Virizian's ridiculous right now. Like, my team would get shit on by Virizion, but, anyway, looking at team preview, Tyrantrum, big threat. I have to call out the Steelix and Scrafty coming in, though, and if he ever goes hard to Decidueye on a CC, then I am basically screwed. Zergtree, if Steelix is gone, it's really good, but otherwise, it's not that great. Starmie, I am Hydro Pump, Side Shock, or Rapid Spin, Recover, so like it's alright here. Having T-Bolt here would be very nice for the Mantine, but also having a super effective move for just Torn, having like Ice Beam would be good for Decidueye, but Side Shock does a chunk still. It's a roll to a KO, but it's like a very mid roll. So, Beware, it's okay again. He obviously has a Tornadus for it and Mantine, and the Decidueye comes in on my stab, but if I Darkest Lariat ever on it, then I'm good because it does a lot. Scrafty isn't that big of a problem because I have Specs Tyrantrum. Not Specs Tyrantrum. I mean, I have a lot of answers to Scrafty. I have Specs Gardevoir, I have Beware, and I have D-Gleam on Zergtree. So I have a lot of answers to Scrafty. His Zergtree is traded by Queen. The biggest threat is that Tornadus. Tornadus is a big problem to this team. But I have multiple mons that can come in at least one time. So it's not too big of a deal. Decidueye obviously kills every mon on my team. Figure out how to deal with that somehow. I am Ice Beam Nidoqueen, so Mantine is a little bit annoying, but I have Tyrantrum, I have Zergtree. I just have to make the calls of when he's going to get a Steelix and whether he's going to stay in with Mantine. So, and Gardevoir's really good if I can get the plays right, but like between Psyshock, Mystical Fire, and Moonblast, I have to get the plays right. But like Moonblast is really spammable against this team because even the Steelix takes like 30-something% from it. So, I mean, it doesn't even appreciate Moonblast at all, so, like, it's not even bad, just clicking Moonblast a lot. But anyway, lead preview, I do opt to lead with my Starmie. Starmie gave me the best lead versus the expected Tornadus lead. Well, okay, so obviously Zergtree was much better versus Tornadus, but that just allowed it in the Steelix freely, and Starmie's Hydro Pump easily took KO's this thing, so I think I just go for the pump here. I do make the safe play, no reason to make a prediction there, and Decidueye is in turn 2, and Gardevoir does live this hit 93.8% of the time, so I opt to go it and just hope I live. I do live on 2, but Gardevoir's HP is not very crucial here, considering the only thing it was really taking on was the Zergtree with health, and next Tornadus too. But otherwise, like, Scrafty, I'm just gonna click Moonblast on no matter what anyway. Steelix, I'm gonna die to it anyway, so... Like, and I outspeed Decidueye, so I'm not taking hits from that anyway. Except for this one hit, which obviously I took, so... The game plan for checking Decidueye is in check. So now Decidueye, every time it comes in, it gets at least one kill, but... Now I forced to swap something into a Moonblast. I sat here for a little bit, I wanted to click Mystical Fire there, but the problem was if he opted to go like Mantine instead, because Mantine wasn't a horrible pivot, because it took a lot from Moonblast, but it took it, and like if he was scared of Mystical Fire in the Steelix immediately, which made sense because it was going from Fire Week to Fire Week, so, but he makes the good play going Steelix rather than anything else. Which does allow him rocks, and since my Gardevoir is at 2%, that is obviously a problem. I don't really swap in very well to this, but I do have a Starmie, and then Recover Starmie, so I check this, like, outside of Starmie, I don't check it well, but I check it this fine. On this build, I am analytic. I changed this later on to Natural Cure, but I am analytic on this one, I think. Or maybe I changed it already to Natural Cure, but I think at this time I was analytic, but... After swap to his Gravities, I spin immediately. I do not want the rock stuff. I want to be able to go Gardevoir when I want to. But Scrafty helps to come in. I don't want to go hard Gardevoir because he can knock here. It's quite possible that he knocks here as he opts to go for the Drain Plunge. I just 24 is nothing to this Beware because Fluffy is ridiculous. But Drain Plunge is a solid play because there was no way Starmie was staying in there. And my knock swap-ins didn't... Well, my knock swap-ins was Beware, my knock swap-ins were Beware and a Nidoqueen, so maybe knock was a better play on his part, to be honest, but it's because like knocking off Beware Silk Scarf is nice because that means Mantine checks it better. So otherwise, Double Edge is doing a very sizable chunk to it. Same for Torn. It lives one, while if it's Silk Scarf, I don't think it does. Or I know it doesn't live with Silk Scarf. It might live otherwise. I doubt it lives that too, though. But, he Drain Punches there. Sizable chunk, but, he helps go as Mantine. I call that out and go for the Double Edge. Mantine takes 60%. Nice, but, he warned me for my timer, which is nice. But my timer got a 15 here, because I took a long time earlier on the Decidueye Stormy turn, so my timer is pretty low at this point, but I get in my Tyrantrum because I figure he's gonna roost there, but he opts to double to his Decidueye. At this point, I just opt to, I think here, do I swap or do I, okay, no, I swap Beware, because I was gonna sack Beware there, because I figure Mantine deals with it, Torn deals with it, Xurkitree deals with it, and like Decidueye deals with it, so like everything deals with it at this point. So the only thing that didn't deal with it was the Scrafty. So, but he gets scared of the Timid there and goes Steelix, which is not a bad play. Or he gets scared of the Jolly and Adamant. So, obviously he's feared because he doesn't want to lose his Decidueye, which is his biggest offensive threat to my team at this point. So I just go to sack Beware as he opts to go Steelix, which is really good for me, because now I get my Beware in on the Steelix. Do I call out the Decidueye here? No, I did not. Because I figured I could just make the safe play there, because I didn't want him staying and creating Toxic, nor going something like Mantine. And like, the issue wasn't him going Mantine on the Darkest Lariat. I just, like, I didn't want to reveal that I would make a play yet, because I wasn't 100% sure that he was going to Decidueye there, right? So I figured he would, and here I obviously has to sack Pokemon, right? But I didn't want to put him in the mindset yet that, hey, I'm going to make a play on this Decidueye and him opt to go to Mantine here and him live the hit, so now he's figured out later from going to Decidueye. Like, because I want to get rid of the Decidueye, and that's one of the prime focus. I was not 100% sure he's going to go to Decidueye here, so I don't want to make a play there and it just not work out, and him now never go to Decidueye. You get the point? I think it does. But he opts to go to Decidueye here. It is a problem, but I have to go my Nidoqueen. He opts to U-turn out, which I thought was very odd, but I thought about it for a second, and I realized that he predicted me to go sack the Gardevoir, and he obviously didn't want to be sitting there at -2 to allow other things set up, I guess. There's something on a team that sets up, but he just didn't want to allow other things in, which I do understand. He mocked the misprediction. I was sacking Nidoqueen at that point, which in hindsight is a very bad play, because otherwise I'm going to lose to Xurkitree. So in hindsight, that was a horrible play, and it worked out for me because he mispredicted, which I don't disagree with the U-turn, to be honest. I think sacking Gardevoir was my best play, actually. The fact that I went Nidoqueen obviously works out for me there, because now I still have 6 Pokemon rather than 5. He helps you turn out into a Steelix. I thought this was very odd. But I realized I didn't even think about this turn, by the way. I went hard for the Ice Beam, because there was so I could tell what he wanted to do. He wanted to get his leftovers back for the Steelix, which I do understand, but obviously I called that out and went for the Ice Beam. Ice Beam was my mid ground, because if he opted to stay in, then he takes some damage rather than me going for Sludge Wave and getting no damage. So I call that out and go for the Ice Beam there, which means his Mantine is now sitting at 16. He either has to stand and sack this or make something else take a Sludge Wave to the face. And nothing on the team appreciates it. He could go Scrafty there, which I think was probably his best play, because he can still get this Mon back on, like, Starmie clicking Hydro Pump, on Nidoqueen later on clicking, like, Power. Even just as a simple pivot, then still. But I get sacking it there, because at that point you don't want anything else to take a chunk, which, again, I do understand that. But he sacks his Mantine there, puts me up 6-5, which means in the sack game, I'm actually setting nicely. He goes Tornadus here, which I thought meant that he was Life Orb, and I do assume Life Orb here. So I opt to go my Circuitry just to take the Hurricane and have to U-turn out and does not reveal the Life Orb. I'll have to go Helix. I assumed Life Orb because Hurricane doesn't knock me out unless he's Life Orb. So I didn't figure he'd go Tornadus just to U-turn out. But obviously he did and gets in Helix. Which is a bit annoying, but again, I have Starmie, which is like a 100% answer. I go for Rock. He goes for Rocks here. Here, do I spin or do I Side Shock? I think, yeah. I Side Shock on the incoming Decidueye because I figured he'd go to Decidueye to try to spin block me there, and the worst case scenario was I click Hydro Pump, and you know he's still sitting in a position where he could swap out again into his Scrafty, but like he can pivot from the Decidueye. He can pivot from the Decidueye into his Scrafty because it blocks a spin if I have to go for it there. But I go for the Side Shock, maybe a bit overzealous, but I really don't think that was that horrible of a play. I just think it was a misprediction. Obviously, puts me in a not that great position, but Hydro Pump wasn't doing much of this anyway. But it just would have meant the rocks were not up, so now I don't have my Gardevoir to come in and click a Specs Moonblast now to deal with the Scrafty, so Scrafty is a little bit annoying, but I go back into my Beware because I know I live any hit. He has to double to his Decidueye, which means here I do have to sack a Pokemon. It's just going to be the Gardevoir, sack it to Rocks, he goes for the Leaf Storm. he didn't want to put in a situation where he turns out again and doesn't get a kill. But basically him going for the Leaf Storm there forces the Beware to stay out, which Beware is a bit problematic for him at this moment because if I click Double Edge and he swaps out, then he doesn't really deal with that because his swap into Double Edge is Steelix, but I just Drain Punch it all back then. So he has to put in a situation where he has to go for the Leaf Storm. He has to go back into the Decidueye. There's not that great of a situation, but the only thing is I know Scrafty has to come in here, and I go for the Rocks just to try to chip things down and predict the Decidueye. But chipping down the Circuitry a little bit is nice too, but not that big of a deal. I just knew Scrafty was coming in, but I didn't want to make any aggressive double and lose a Pokemon. So at worst scenario, I got Rocks up there. I could have made double into Beware, which is probably my sack if anything, because Starmie still comes in on the Licks, gives me my Licks answer. It could also have been that or Tyrantrum, because Tyrantrum I have to make a play with every time, so not the most great, not as good as it could be, but I know Scrafty's coming in there to get the Rocks up. Beware opts to come in again, just because I still know I live every hit. Goes for the knockoff, just 9%, not a big deal. Here, I Darkest Lariat, which is annoying, because now he's... Okay, so here he calls me out going for the Darkest Lariat, and then he goes for the Drain Punch, and here, I know he's not going to let me get this damage off from the Scrafty. He's not going to let me Drain Punch a lot of my health back, to the point where his Drain Punch doesn't even kill me at this point. I would get enough recovery, so his Drain Punch doesn't even kill me. I'm still in the same position I was, except this Scrafty is now weakened for no reason, which means my Nidoqueen is really good. And since I clicked Darkest Lariat last turn, now I'm more inclined, and he stayed in, I'm more inclined to click Drain Punch, but I understand this, and I go for the Darkest Lariat here again, and if he stayed in there, then it would have been horrible. I would have been in a very bad position, but I knew he wouldn't do that. So he goes into his Decidueye. As I Darkest Lariat again, I kill the Decidueye, and now I'm actually in a very nice position, but the Torn to come in, which I thought was a little bit odd because it meant that he had to hit a move, unless he had like Superpower rather than Focus Blast, which I think Focus Blast is a little bit better now, just right now at least, because Tyrantrum's everywhere, and Superpower does like 50 to Tyrantrum, it's like 55 to some 55-ish. So it doesn't OHKO Tyrantrum while Focus Blast does. So I think Focus Blast is a little bit better right now, but so either way he'd have to hit a move, and U-turn wasn't knocking me out at that point. The only thing is if he had Heat Wave, which technically he still has to hit, but he goes for the Hurricane, he does connect it, which is good for him. I would rather him hit that just because I can't blame it on Haxton, or he can't blame it on Haxton. Staying 4-4 is not that bad for me. I go Tyrantrum because here I'm bluffing the Scarf. I bluff the Scarf head smash, and I go for the close combat onto the Steelix. Because, so worst scenario, right? What he stayed in and hits the second 70% accurate move in a row, which technically is in my favor for him to miss, because he landed the Hurricane. So technically, it wasn't even a horrible play. And worst scenario was he stays in, and if he is super power, then he takes the CC, which puts him in range of Starmie. So that's nice anyway. Otherwise, if he Focus Blast there, then I'm forced into Xurkitree, and like at this point, CC's gonna pick me up a kill. He can't really sack Steelix, otherwise Xurkitree's looking like a very prime threat. But I think he does opt to sack the Steelix here, which is slight misplay on his part, but I really don't know what you were going to sack outside of this, because you needed all your tools at this point. You needed Xurkitree for the speed control versus Starmie. You needed Tornadus to deal with the, I think you needed Tornadus too, just because you need something that can live a hit comfortably. I don't know, I think Tornadus was probably your go-to there. And since he is more than likely Focus Blast, he can go for the Focus Blast there. I do think Tornadus was your play there, because I think you need Steelix still at that moment. Even Steelix at 40% is still easily checks Xurkitree, unless I'm going for Energy Ball. I'm going for Energy Ball versus a Scrafty that easily eats that up, and I can get a Drain Punch off, get Knock Off, and put his Xurkitree faster. But, you know, I don't know, I think maybe the Tornadus was a sack there. But since he sacked Steelix, my Xurkitree is actually like, very primed, because if it can come in on the Scrafty, then I can start degleaming, and I might just sweep it, because I live a hit from Tornadus at this range. So, move to the second CC on the Steelix, knocks him out. Tornadus opts to come in. I go Starmie because I do live a hit, and he opts to go for the Focus Blast as I expected. I go for the spin. I didn't predict a swap. I didn't need damage off on this. Like, damage off on this didn't change anything. Xurkitree still OHKOs it. The only thing was Xurkitree's Degleam. Maybe it could have gone for damage rather than spin, but again, Nidoqueen OHKOs it, Tyrantrum OHKOs it, and Xurkitree OHKOs it. So damage off on this doesn't matter. Getting rid of the rocks does, because Xurkitree taking on the opposing Xurkitree and this Tornadus hit is changing where, like, the worst scenario is I have to take a hit, because he can't keep Tornadus plus Xurkitree. He has to sack one of them to take the damage. Really, he has to sack Tornadus and then win the speed tie with Xurkitree. But he still can't win the game at that point, because I have my Nidoqueen, which would have been sacked earlier had he clicked Leaf Storm, but he clicked the U-turn. So, he U-turns out rather than going for the Hurricane. He doesn't want to go for the inaccurate move. I do get that. He does get his Scrafty. At this point, I have no reason to keep the Starmie, so I just go for the Pump for damage. Just 32, which is nice damage. He goes for the Knockoff. He's now guaranteed in range of Degleam. I do go for the Degleam, knocks him out. I get my +1. He has to go Tornadus here to get the damage off, and then just hope Xurkitree wins the speed tie. And if he does win the speed tie, it still doesn't matter, because my Nidoqueen easily wins any hit. Or it doesn't easily, because Energy Ball is still a problem, as he opts to go for the Grass Knot instead. Which, Grass Knot, it makes sense too, but Nidoqueen opts to come in. I easily live the Grass Knot, Earth Power, kill him, and we win game 1. Very close, really a good game though. I had to make a couple of plays there. He didn't really make any. He didn't make any plays in particular. He did try to make plays, it just didn't work. Well, no, that sounds very cocky, but I just called out when I made the appropriate plays when I needed to. Two big ones was the CC into Steelix, and then the Darkest Lair into Decidueye was very big. Just outside of that, he played really well. He conserved his mons very, very nicely, but it just ended up the CC into the Steelix was huge, and the same for the Darkest Lair into Decidueye. Just a couple of plays that I made ended up giving me the edge, which was very nice. And taking game 1 puts me into a comfort factor, because I knew this team was I knew the teams that I were bringing in every situation. I was always bringing this team game 1, and I was always bringing this team game 2. And then if it went to a game 3 scenario, I'll bring the team that you see then. But because I felt like game 1, this is my most reliable team, is HO build. And then I wanted to go into game 2 with a less reliable, but this was the only other team I had at this moment. So, and the third team is just very fat. It's not necessarily stall, it's kind of stall, but it's not stall. You'll see the team. I'll just show it now. Like, this was always going to be my game 3 team. And it looks very stally, but it's quite stally, actually. But everything has a purpose. And you see, he has rain. So we obviously go to game 3. So obviously I lose this game, but you see the team that I bring here. It's you'll see then. Don't worry about it. This team, he opts to bring a little bit fatter. He just brings a bulky fire, water, grass core, which Charizard's not that bulky, but still you get the point. Slowking's pretty Spadef, Tangela's pretty Fizdef, and then Charizard just for the couple of resistance it needs. Oh my gosh, my voice. But it's a lot fatter, but Zygarde is a huge threat to me. Like, this game, I don't know how I was in any position supposed to win this game. I just outplay him a lot, that's all. But, he has the standards, boots, Fizdef, Slowking, Rocks, Steelix, probably the same Tornadus as before is what I'm assuming. The boots, 4 attacks, just the standard Tangela, Banded, Zygarde, and then Defog Charizard. My team is Scarf Zergatry, Rock Slicks, it's Lefty Starmie, I changed it last minute from Line 4. Boots Archeops, Boots Arcanine, Boots Defensive Arcanine, Boots 4 attacks Archeops, and just standard Plume. This matchup was really bad because he had double ground, which my Zergatry was probably doing nothing here, and Energy Ball. Otherwise, in concept with double ground, it's like, okay, Energy Ball's okay, but he has a Charizard for the quad resist. He has double flying, one that quad resist, and then Tangle. I think it's not that bulky though. So, but this matchup was really bad. Basically, I didn't have a Zygarde answer because this team doesn't have a ground resist outside of Archeops, which gets hit by 1,000 arrows. So, the only thing I had was Starmie as a roll to live. That's it. But anyway, Healy's Tornadus, I do call that, like, Tornadus is a huge threat to me too. Cause if he's Focus Blast or Heat Wave, then he's just gonna hit that here. And I wanted to lead Starmie, but the problem with Starmie is Slowking just walls me. So, I lead Steelix, his Healy's Tornadus, as you reveal sub. I go for the Toxic turn 1 just because I wanted to get Residual on this big threat. I do have Head Smash, but I was hesitant on going Tangela, checking if I was Head Smash, which sub is kind of the same thing, so. And he goes for the Focus Blast here. As I think just go for the Head Smash. I do just go Head Smash to break the sub. I'm put in a position here where I have to sack something unless he opts to swap out. Which swapping out is actually a very solid play. And because he doesn't want to risk me hitting a second Focus Blast, which is again in my favor for him to miss at least one of them. So, I get that play, and I actually agree with that play. You don't want to risk it. But he goes for the Tangela, and he easily eats it. I have a Plume which pretty much walls Tangela. Obviously, Tangela is forced out. I go for the Sleep Powder on the Charizard. Either Charizard or Steelix coming in. I figured Charizard though. And I already revealed Head Smash. There's no way he's staying in. But I go for the Rocks. I wanted a Toxic on the Tangela, but if he stayed in, if worse came to worse and he opted to stay in, then Rocks gave me something versus Toxic gave me nothing. So, I get a little bit of lefties. I'm getting my Steelix back up. Plume comes back in, he knocks me off. Solid play, but pretty predictable. Here, Sludge Bomb's gonna do a lot to charge on it anyway, so I don't find it that big of a deal. I can just go for the Sludge Bomb. Starmie up to come in. Just the problem is Slowking. Like, I can't do anything Slowking. I want to make the safe play there because I just didn't want him calling me out. And because of the teleport, it just gives him a lot of initiative. And Torn, the huge threat's in. I go Zergatry just to try to prevent a kill, which it does because I dodge a Hurricane. That does like 50%, by the way. So, but he opts to go Steelix. Do I call that out here? I think I don't. Yeah, because the Tornadus was such a problem that I really just couldn't predict around it. But I'm gonna go Starmie. He gets some rocks, not a big deal. I go for the spin. He makes a very, very good play here, and goes for the Toxic. I am natural cure though, so it's not that big of a deal. But and I am lefty Starmie, so that's nice. But I predict the Slowking here because the only way I can't break Slowking with this team because I can't break Slowking plus Steelix plus Charizard really. Just because the way I break through Slowking Steelix is Energy Ball chipping the Steelix down, but the problem is Charizard quadras his Energy Ball, so you know, I get a whole 10% off, if that. But here, the only way I break through Slowking really is just getting a Toxic off here. So, and I'm going to take a Skull to the face, which you can do so much, but I don't have another play around the Slowking. I go for the Toxic, and I miss as he teleports out. I get a little bit bailed out, but now Zygarde's in and gets a kill. So, I don't really get bailed out at all. But getting a Toxic from the Slowking, it would have been great, because it meant I could actually break through that Pokemon. And Starmie was a bit more problematic for him then, but I'm never gonna get that opportunity, and that's the problem. I'm never gonna get the opportunity to Toxic this Slowking again, which is why I just go and sack my Starmie here, as I died to the end of 1,000 arrows as expected. I go Zergatry, just the T-Gleam, I think. Do Energy Ball here? I do Energy Ball calling out the Steelix there. I get a crit. I am rewarded with a crit, which is quite nice, but because I mean this gave me a little bit of hope too, because this Steelix taking a crit Energy Ball meant that he really can't pivot in anymore on the Zergatry as well as he wanted to. So T-Bolts are a lot more free. If I ever Energy Ball into the Steelix, I have a very good shot. Just because Zygarde's not the most reliable Pokemon because it's going to drop to a D-Gleam. So, you know, if I ever make a call around that, then it's going to make a lot of outplaying, but it's still possible. Yeah, I swap out. I think he doesn't. Yeah, because he's guaranteed out of range, I think. Or it's very close to. As I just go Plume on the Steelix. I double out on the Torn just because, you know, I don't deal with this Torn otherwise. Tornadus opts to come in. I bring in Archeops. I U-turn out on the Slowking. Zergatry, the non-threat comes in, but here I just go for the Seabolt, or no, I go for the Volt, which is my best play because. Energy Ball was a very valid play that I could have gone and Energy Balled into the Steelix. It's looking very nice for my Zergatry later on, but I double out, or I Volt switch out. He stacks the Charizard, which means his Defogger's gone, but like, are they really that big of a problem? Like Tangela has regen, Slowking has boots plus regen, Steelix resists them, Tornadus has boots, and Zygarde resists them, so rocks really do not matter at this point, but I have to bring in Plume. Frick me. I have to bring in Plume just because that keeps out the Zygarde, but it allows in Tornadus. But at least in the Tornadus situation, it allows in the Tornadus situation it forces him to hit. Like, so that's why I wasn't like opposed to this, because in this position, he has to hit a 70% accurate move for the third time. So he misses Hurricane, so it should be the second time. But, he has to hit the moves while the other position, Zygarde just clicked 1,000 arrows and got a kill. So, no ands for butts. But, he clicks sub on the spot from Plume. At this point, I think it's over, because there's nothing I can really in particular do to break through this Tornadus. As long as it hits, then I can't break the sub without sacking like 2 Pokemon at this point. He goes for the Focus Blast, he does connect it. Knocks out my Steelix. I'm forced into Archeon upstairs. Goes for the Focus Blast. Hits that too. I go for the dual Wing Beat because at least if he missed, then I would break his sub with the first one and get damage off with the second one. But do not. And here I go for the huge. I think, I don't know. At this point, he was in such a good position. I think he knew he could risk it. But I go for the U-turn, predicting the Slow King, and it obviously does not work out. And I just opt to go by Circuitry. Here I can just click D-Gleam. It's a very safe play, and when I say D-Gleam, I mean Volt Switch. D-Gleam was definitely my best play, but you know, Steelix off to come in. At this point, it's pretty much game. I'm just playing from the back. You know, he doubles out to his Zygarde, which I don't know why. Well, no, Zygarde doesn't knock me out, so I do get that actually. So I actually get the Strength Stat back. Steelix comes in. I obviously get my health back. I go for Giga Drain to try to kill the Steelix. He goes for Earthquake, gets a crit. Bit annoying, but not that big of a deal. I go for Strength Sap, get my health back, but I have to sack again to this Tornadus. This Tornadus was too much of a problem in this match, but I go for the D-Gleam, knock it out with my Circuitry, which is my only win con at this point. But he goes for the Scald Editor, it's a very obvious Scald, but I go Arcanine just to Toxic the Slow King, just gave me some type of chance. He goes Zygarde. I thought I lived this, but I don't. So I think that's either called him being adamant or me miscalculating. I knew I lived Jolly, or I thought I did. And I think adamant Zygarde is really bad because you don't outspeed like 350s. You don't outspeed like Torn, you don't outspeed Archeops, which is pretty popular. Or it's not really that popular, but you don't speed type with Starmie, like, I don't know. But it knocks me out. I just have to go with the Hail Mary Energy Ball Sweep, or the D-Gleam. I think I D-Gleamed. Yeah, I D-Gleamed, because, you know, if worse came to worse, then maybe. But I took care of the Tangela. Get special attack boost with it Toxic, then maybe, but it is 43. That didn't matter because he just comes in and E-speeds me afterwards, so that burn didn't matter at all. Slow King is not to a KO'd, and he gets a Scald, and he knocks me out to win game 2. And I knew that the team wasn't as good as the other one, so I knew that was actually quite possible that I'm put into a game 3 scenario, which is why we have not the DLA draft. This is why we have this build, because this build I've been playing around with a lot, and it's nasty. It's very Hail centered, and it's pretty stally, but everything has a purpose. Like, obviously Vanillix for the Hail, Arctozolt for the breaking power, Regice is block Toxic, Rest, so that's supposed to break through things such as, like in this case, it's supposed to break through like Politoed, and it's Spadef because Spadef, Regice walls 1, 2, 3, 4 members on his team. So Regice is quite good here. Slow King is meant to teleport and be annoying, and Avalog meant for spin support, and Clefairy is just for that wish into Arctozolt if it needs it, or into Vanillix. So everything on here is purpose, and we're facing Rain, which it's Hail versus Rain, but I think I have the advantage 100% because I don't know how he breaks through me. Like, the first 4 are checked by Regice, and the last 2 are checked by Slow King, plus other things. So I really don't know how he wins this game, but maybe. Here I predict the Politoed lead because it is slower than Vanillix, therefore it will get the Rain up if I opt to leave Vanillix, which I don't, but I opt to lead with my Arctozolt predicting the Politoed lead. He also leads Circuitry. Circuitry isn't that big of a problem though, because I have Spadef Regice, which you will see takes what, 13? 18, yeah, from Volt Switch, woo. Steelix helps to come in, immediately get his Rocks up. Slow King's my safest play, as he helps grip the Rocks up, obviously. He doubles out a Politoed. I make the safe Scald play there, because I didn't want him clicking Toxic and me not getting anything out of the turn. So he opts to go Politoed. I get the burn, which actually works for me because I can't Toxic Stall with Regice later. So not very nice. I can't get rid of his rain as efficiently. I still do. It's just longer, but bring an Art Result because otherwise I don't deal with this monitor extremely well. The only thing I have is Regice, which at this point it's burnt, so I really can't even deal with that very well. And since he's Protect, then he just protects, sees the block, and yeah. And most of the time they're going Steelix anyway, so you see the problem here. The only other play I had was the Vanillix just to get Hail up, and potentially Veil, potentially just double out again, but didn't see much of a purpose. I Hydro Pump here, predicting the Steelix. Here, I Hydro Pump again, predicting the Steelix here on the Bolt Beak as he opted to go Kingdra, which would have taken so much from Bolt Beak. I think it died, but I never did this calc, but I think it would have died. But I have Slowking here. It's Slowking. It's going to take these pumps relatively easily. It actually does 48, which meant I was not taking the pump very easily, but that's the disadvantage with Hydro Pump. I'll just bring a Vanillix. It gets the Hail up, and I can click Freeze Drive versus the Kingdra. I could have clicked Veil there, but I was scared of him staying in and putting me in a range where I cannot swap into rocks very much longer, so my Hail is very limited then. So I go for the Freeze Dry. Steelix up to come in. Steelix is pretty safe there. I'm going to go Slowking. It goes for the Body Press. Here, I think I just go for the Teleport. I might go for the Future Sight. I think I Teleport, though. Just get a little bit of initiative. Future Sight, I do. Here, I Teleport because Polito can't really do anything to me, and if he doubles out, then it doesn't really matter. And when I say I Teleport, I mean I slack off because I was getting low, and I predicted the Kubodox to come in. Here, I knew I guaranteed live this. I lived it with E, so I can just go for the Teleport. I get my Avalok in. I knew it would take the Future Sight as well, which meant I could just spin here because he's going to take Life Orb, and the spin will kill him, and I get the rocks off, which is very good for me. I kill one of his Rain Sweepers. That's one of his Regice answers, and now 4 out of 5 of his Pokemon are walled by Regice, so if Steelix is gone, Regice just wins the game on the spot. Like, he legitimately cannot break through it. But I got Regice on the Xurkitree. You see it, this Thunder from a Xurkitree, just 30%. Steelix up to come in. I should have the safe Ice Beam because I knew Steelix was coming in, and if anything else came in, I beat it, so it didn't matter. I just go for Ice Beam to try to weaken the Steelix to the point where Regice later is going to win. He goes for the Toxin on the Avalok, good solid play, as I just go for the spin, because I want to get rid of the rocks. I don't want him rocks up, because that limits my Hail. I go for the Body Press, just because I figured he's going to go for the rocks there. And at this point, I think I go for the Body Press. No, I stay in, because I swap out, because I didn't want him going for the, I just didn't want him spamming rocks, nor did I want to take all the Toxic, because I did want to spin. I just didn't know in a position where I was going to be able to spin, really. So that was a bit annoying, but as he goes for the rocks, it fails. He's predicted my spin, which is understandable. But I think he was trying to sack his Steelix at that point, which meant his entire team lost to Regice, but he didn't know my set at this point, so he doesn't really know that. But still, I'm going my Slowking. It pretty much takes anything from Steelix. I can just teleport out here, because I know he's going to swap. He opts to go Tornadus. He has Knockoff, which he hadn't been bringing, so I didn't know that he was Knockoff. But here I just go for the Moonblast because I'm concerned about this Tornadus still. Like, I don't know, if he's superpower, it's a problem, but otherwise it's still pretty managed. But I go for the Wish that he knocks off. He goes for the Nasty Plot here, which is a huge problem. I go for the Teleport. I Moonblast later, but he knows I'm not Scarf at this point, so I have to go something and sack. There is no scenario where I cannot sack a Pokemon, so I get the Wish Pack, which is very nice because it means I'm less limited with the Hail turns, but I just have to go back and sack my Clefairy because otherwise, I have to sack something else, and Clefairy is definitely the least useful member. I just go for the Moonblast here for damage, just because it meant I could Freeze Dry now, which is 100% accurate, and it covers the Steelix coming in. So, it didn't really matter, but it actually kind of hurt me in a sense, because I was still killing the Torn, and it just meant that I had to go for a Freeze Dry, not Icicle Crash, so not that big of a deal. But, and it's just not a Hail Turn, which actually might be better for him, but still. He goes for the Hurricane. I just bring in my Art Result because I need something to outspeed this thing. I'm getting low, but Oh well, he gets this Politoed here, which I didn't expect, but I go for the Icicle Crash, which is, I am benefit. I don't get that play, actually. I think Freeze Dry is my best play. Like, because it was 100% accurate, while Icicle Crash could miss. But actually, yeah, Icicle Crash was my worst move to click there. Like, I could pump there, predicting the Steelix, no reason to, but it'd be better than just going for the Crash, which doesn't even kill Steelix, I don't think, and can miss, so... At least Hydro Pump would kill the Steelix, but go for the Crash, I miss, which is actually very nice for him, or for me, because it means I don't take 2 turns of Life Orb, and that means I can still come in on rocks later on, which I think does come into play, actually. But, I can just go for the Bolt Beak here, or do I Palm? I think I Bolt Beak, yeah. I had no reason to predict there. And here I make definitely a misplay again. I go for the Bolt Beak again, because he's been pivoting around. So, he pivoted around earlier on, and went Kingdra on the, or, you know, I don't know. I played Zarangel really poorly this game, but, I thought he would keep his Steelix, but he's just trying to sack Steelix all game, which, that's not that big of a deal to me, because I know, as long as I kill the Steelix, I win this game pretty much 100% if I kill the Steelix, because he can't break through Regice then. Well, under any circumstance, none of these Pokemon break through it. The only thing that he can do is just crit Focus Blast, really. I was gonna say he could plot up, but he doesn't plot on anything, so everything kills it. And it's at 44, so he's very limited in what he can do. He goes for the Body Press, kills off my Arctozolt. I'm down, but most definitely not out. Here, I just go for the Skull to try and knock out the Steelix, as he lets me knock out the Steelix, which means at this point, Regice walls the remaining 4. Xergastray wants to come in. I have no reason to keep Avalok at this point. He Toxic, predicting my Avalok, or my Regice to come in, I guess. I don't get why he went in Thunder. I think Thunder was 100% safe, but I think what he wanted was, he didn't want Villains coming in and him missing. But I was sacking Avalok at that point, because Avalok died to everything remaining. So at this point, now it just lets me spin, which means my Regice is even better. So, and he's obviously Choice, so again, I get my spin off. At this point, I know Vanillix lives a hit, and I can just preserve the sacks if it comes down to it, which is highly unlikely that it does, but I can preserve. I know I easily live a pump. Worst case scenario is I didn't, and I got crit, which was bad, but Regice still walled everything, so it didn't matter. I know I lived that, and do I go Freeze Dry? I think I Freeze Dry here. I do Freeze Dry here, because Freeze Dry pretty much picked me up at kill. It killed that, it killed that, it killed that, and this took damage, and Regice walled it, so it didn't really matter. Here, I just sacked the useless Avalok, go back into my Vanillix, and I don't want to click Freeze Dry here, because I wanted to make sure that Regice walled everything. So, I'm gonna go for the Veil. He stays in and clicks Pump. At this point, I'm down, but again, Regice walled every single remaining member by just clicking Ice Beam, and really all I have to do is click Ice Beam versus everything. The only thing I really might want to click Toxic versus, which I do click Toxic versus, is his Xurkitrine, because then I can rest on it, but Hornoff to come in, doesn't do crap, he does 16 on a super effective hit. I go for the Ice Beam, knock it out. I just get all my HP back. Xurkitrine opts to come in. He goes for the Thunder. He does crit para me, that's actually very scary for the record, because if he gets very lucky, he can win this. Like, if I get fully paralyzed this turn or next turn, it's very, very bad for me. As in, so bad I lose, more than likely. So, but that's his way to win. He has to bank off of it, and I still live another crit, by the way, just because Thunder doesn't do anything to me. I still live another crit. That's not the big thing, is if he crit pairs me again. So, well, it's not even crit pair, because it's just 30. If I got parried there, I think I lost, but he'd have to land that Thunder, and then he'd have to land another Thunder, and then he'd have to land another Thunder. He'd have to land 3 Thunders in Hail, like, in total, he had to land 4, so highly unlikely, but I get the rest off. At this point, I guarantee win, because his Circuitry cannot even crit through me at this point. If he crits, then no, there is no breaking through this at this point. that Thunder, it was sealed before, but at this point, we say our GGs, and Regice wakes up and knocks out the circuitry with Ice Beam. And we take the first set in a very long one, by the way. This is a very long set. It took a while, but it's because I had to really try. Like, I haven't had to try in a tournament game like this in a minute. I think I played them pretty well as well. I think I played this game pretty horribly. I think I played this one like dog shit, but I think I played these two pretty well. I think this one I choked on, and actually probably should have gone out 0-2, because I tried sacking my Nidoqueen when he has his Circuitry. I tried sacking my ground type versus a Circuitry team that otherwise gets swept by T-Bolt. So, choke on my part. I was rewarded though, so we take those. Nah, but that was no awareness. That was just me choking. Like, I'm not even gonna say I predicted the U-turn. I most definitely did not. I just predicted the sack of Nidoqueen. Because Nidoqueen was a roll, so I thought if worst comes to worst, I may live this, so I could still preserve another Pokemon. Again, if worst comes to worst. So, but really, no, there's no way I lived that. Or no, it still was a roll, and there was a legitimate chance of me living that, but that's just me being quite unlucky most of the time. So, really, would I have lived that? No. We win 2-1 versus Sevelon, and all three were great games, but I got washed in game 2 for the most part. Otherwise, they were just two very close games, and came down to the wire pretty much both games. I think this game he misplayed by sacking Steelix, but he didn't know my Regice was gonna wall everything else, so. But he should have figured, honestly. But he didn't arrest, I guess, or maybe. Which I get. I do sort of get it. I still think he should have kept Blix, but I don't know whether he forgot about Future Sight, but I think he might have. And I think he forgot about Future Sight, because I think he would have kept his Kabutops, because Kabutops killed this, and this. So, like, and did a lot to Avalugg, and did a lot to Slowking. Like, Kabutops was his breaking power, so I wonder if he forgot about Future Sight. At that point, he was down to 16%, so there really wasn't enough point in keeping it. But it put me in a great position once he took the Future Sight. But that is the set, and we move on to round 2 of the Crown Tundra tournament. First one, I don't know who we play yet, because I played this game 2 days ago, so I'll definitely have other teams by then, so you won't see the same teams. This Hail team is quite reliable though, so it's quite possible that I bring it again. There's probably no chance of me bringing this team again, unless I don't build another team by then. And this one is quite good too, but it's weak to Decidueye, so and I'll always bring this team game 1. If I'm using it, then I'll bring it game 1. So I need to start paying attention to a Grass Resist more so, because I could have been put down by the Decidueye. Did Decidueye even get a kill in this match? I don't think Decidueye got a single kill. That's wild. No, it didn't get a single kill, did it? That's crazy. Because it died, yeah. No, Decidueye didn't get a single kill in a matchup. Specs Decidueye with Leaf Storm did not get a kill in a matchup where the entire team dies to a Leaf Storm except for one Pokemon. And that Pokemon took the Leaf Storm turn 2. So that's wild, but because Decidueye was his biggest threat. And I think once he lost to Decidueye, it was not game at that point. But if he had Decidueye, probably a wrap. But anyway, we move on to round 2, and hopefully we can make it a little bit. I don't necessarily I'm not considering even remotely winning this tournament, but it'd be nice to make it a decent amount, just to put my name out there a little bit more. You feel me? But We did good in seasonal, so hopefully we can do well here. We didn't do good in open. We lost round 1. So, I don't remember who we played. I think we played. I don't remember who we played. I think did we play Lighthouses? No, that was for Sun and Moon Cup. I don't remember who we played round 1, but it was actually like someone with a name, so it's like not that horrible. But yeah, I suppose I will see you guys in round 2.